shooting your film, and we know that that was a fundraiser for Ukraine. We have a couple questions that we can start off with, and we can open it up to the audience. Just if you could tell us a little bit about how you got involved in this film and how this come to be.
Well, I want to just return the thanks. Thank you all for joining this event tonight. Thank you for staging the event. It's a real passion project for me. I went to NYU Film School back in the late 1990s, and every student, every alum just knows Veselka. It's the second kitchen if you don't want to keep eating in your dorm. So I had actually not gone to the restaurant when I was a student. But a good friend of mine, just all the time, he would only talk about Veselka. He'd say, you gotta go to Veselka, you gotta go. You're always eating the same Chinese food and Mexican food. Go to Veselka. And it was almost like he saw my future in making this movie because I've never had someone harp on something so much. And it started to go in the early 2000s, and it was really known for its late night, 24-hour fun, like after people would go to the bars, and just great comfort food, and always a warm environment. And then during the pandemic, mutual colleagues and friends of the Burchards and myself gave me a formal introduction to Tom and Jason. And this was before the war had begun, and no one was even talking about a war. This was November of 2021. And I sat down with Tom and Jason and pitched them an idea to tell a story more about family and community through good times and bad. And at that point, their restaurant was open about 66, 67 years. And the impetus really was more the pandemic and how they were surviving when so many restaurants that had been around for decades, even in that part of Manhattan, were just shutting down. And they really liked the idea, but sat on it for a bit. Jason privately would share with me that he really loved the idea of me making the movie to celebrate his dad, and to really pay honor and homage to all the work his dad did to, make it the Veselka we really know today. And then when the war started, or there was talk of a war in January of 2022, and I hadn't heard from Tom or Jason in a while, I knocked on their door and I said, God forbid this war happens. Knowing the history of the restaurant as I do and its origins, if this war does happen, there may be a lot of parallels to the past and whatever future events happen. And little did I know that, this war would still be going on, which is awful, obviously, and the lives of so many that you just lived with for the last hour and a half have not really changed since the end of the first year of the war.
So I understand that you've been to Veselka and you know the family, and how has it been just being able to do this film? Do you feel like you're part of their family now? I feel like there's a lot of very personal stories here, and I wonder how it was for you to be involved.
Thank you. Yeah, I do feel like a part of the family. They've outright said that over the time that we made the movie, that they all enjoyed the process and really respected the approach that I took of being a fly on the wall. I mean, that's a challenge for any documentary and any filmmaker, is how much you really get in the midst of it all. And I'm a big believer of you don't create drama as a filmmaker. You just let the drama in life unfold and capture it. And obviously you're at the risk of maybe there's not much of a story to tell, but it just does a disservice to the journalistic integrity of what you're trying to do if you're too in it. So I always stay back, and then you've got the logistics of a restaurant that's always busy. So there was a lot of challenges, and I'm proud to say I became a family member and didn't break any of their dishes or get in the way of too much during the process.
I'm going to ask one more question, then I'll open it up. What's your favorite food at Veselka?
Oh, that's hard. I mean, it's all great. The desserts are incredible. I always am a fan of like the stuffed cabbage, the latkes, obviously the vareniki are amazing, the shortbread vareniki. But I honestly have never had a bad dish. I'm just curious, actually, if I can see, because I can see you all, if I can just see a show of hands, how many people there have actually been to Veselka? Oh, that's great. That's great. I'll tell the guys that they'll love to hear that.
Well, does anybody have any questions? I'll just bring my microphone.
Hello, I have a question. So,
Yes.
watching for me was difficult because I wasn't hungry when I started to watch the movie, but I really became hungry when I was spending 20 minutes. So you were filming for hours in the restaurant. So did you gain like weight or?
I did.
All time interviewer. So my question is like, how is to make these projects inside of the restaurant? Thank you.
So thank you. So to your first question, did I gain weight? I did, and I'm currently on a diet. My promotional tour for the movie is starting to wrap up, so I'm not in the restaurant as much. So I'm cutting back a bit. I'm trying to lose some weight. But the nice thing about shooting a movie where you're always at a restaurant, you know, film crews always have lunch breaks, meal breaks, and so our meal was always served by Veselka instead of bringing in like other food from another place or, you know, people bringing their own food. So yeah, it was amazing because they would treat us like they do the people that come in, the regular clientele. And if we had a scheduled lunch break that, you know, was starting at 12:30, you knew Vitaly was going to, you know, welcome us like he would as a host at the front of Veselka, and he'd come over to the crew and go, Michael, it's 12:30, your lunch is ready. And you'd go over to the table and it was all ready for you. And it was always very lovely. But I will say that, you know, the challenges of making a movie like this, like the kitchen in the basement is so narrow. I don't think you know, you can't really tell necessarily in how I filmed it, but it's literally this long, like alleyway with little offshoots where like the pierogi ladies have a little area for, you know, 6 to 8 of them to make pierogies, and then a stove for boiling them, and then a back area for the desserts, but it's really a long alleyway. We had 2 cameras, sometimes 3, and that was really, really challenging. Because you can't get in the way of their work, and everyone is so professional. Like the thing that I think was the biggest challenge for them, when the war started, the news crews were there for like the first couple of weeks all the time. And Jason would tell the staff, oh no, Mike and his team are with us. Because, you know, when a news crew comes, maybe they'll come for a half hour, they'll hang outside, they might come in for a couple minutes and leave. I mean, we would be there, on our first day, we were there like 16, 17 hours. So I think it took time, there was a learning curve for the staff to realize that we really like were part of the team, that we were there to, you know, share their stories in the best possible light. But, you know, the program ladies, they just wanted to work. They wanted to get their job done and go home. They didn't want us getting in the way a lot, so there were challenges.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Thank you for this warm, wonderful film. How did you get David Duchovny to narrate this film?
You know, they always say, just knock on somebody's door, you know, take the chance, you never know, and he responded immediately and said yes. The same with David Sanborn, the 6-time Grammy-winning saxophonist who did all the saxophone solos. They knew Veselka. David Duchovny actually grew up 2 blocks north on 2nd Avenue and I think 11th Street. And so for him, it was personal. And I always felt like if we were going to have a narrator, it needed to be someone who just wasn't a name, but it was someone who was bringing knowledge to the story, so that when they, shared the little anecdotes, it really had some heart. But the two Davids just really do add something special to the movie. David Sanborn actually, he passed away only a couple months after we worked with him. We had no knowledge he had been ill. So this is actually the last movie score he's a part of, which, makes it even, resonate even more.
Any other questions?